Well, hello and welcome to the inaugural ICT video blog. My voice, you can hear, is Dave Robson. I'm a member of the ICT academic team, and in front of me is Pekka Dare, who is a director of AML and FCP at ICT. So the point of these video blogs, really, it's an alternative to what you would get through the normal written blog, and it's a chance for us to talk about some of the hot topics and subject matter content that you might be interested in or that have come up recently. There's a mix of accents on show today, so we really are putting the international into international compliance training. So I'll kick off then. So this week we've received a few questions from delegates about what really is the basis of laundered property and how is it created and defined. So Pekka, could you tell us a bit about where it comes from and what is a predicate offence?
Yeah, sure, Dave. So, I mean, it's quite simple, really. The predicate crime, it's a key concept in money laundering, and the predicate crime is essentially the underlying crime that creates the property that is subsequently laundered in the crime of money laundering. So, as those of you that have just started your studies and are perhaps reading into the international frameworks around money laundering, you may have discerned that the gold standard, if you like, the recommendation from the Financial Action Task Force is that jurisdictions have a wider range of possible of predicate crimes in their legal definition of money laundering. So for example, in the UK, we have what's known as the all crimes definition of money laundering. In other words, it doesn't matter what the crime is, if it's a crime and it creates property, that property is capable of being laundered, if you like. So for example, I go out and sell crack cocaine on the streets of Manchester and I'm paid cash. The predicate crime is the selling of Class A drugs, and the property created from that crime is, of course, the cash.
So is this the same in the UK and internationally then, Pekka?
It varies, Dave. So we've got many jurisdictions have a sort of a list of serious crimes, and they are, so for example, Singapore I think has around 190 approximately serious crimes listed. Many Middle Eastern jurisdictions, for example the UAE, Qatar, they may have a general catch-all provision, they will typically maybe list 7 or 8 serious crimes. So it does vary, but more and more jurisdictions are moving to a wider sort of all crimes definition, if you like.
Okay, so I've heard a single criminality test. How does that work?
Yeah, so again, there are two models really internationally, either single criminality or dual criminality. So essentially in the UK we are currently dual criminality. I would say probably the majority of jurisdictions internationally are dual criminality. So what this means essentially is the concept of single or dual criminality relates to property that comes into a jurisdiction from overseas. So the million-dollar question is, if you are a money laundering officer sat in the UK and you're looking at a client or a transaction outside of the UK where property comes into the country and you are suspicious about that property, the question is, do you have to report that transaction if the property was created originally in another jurisdiction? So until the SOCPA, or Serious Organised Crime and Police Act in 2005, the UK was single criminality. And basically what that meant was, in making that decision about property coming into the UK, the only consideration was, had that property been created in the UK, it would have been a criminal offence. In other words, the law in the jurisdiction in which the property was created is irrelevant. You only consider the law in your home jurisdiction. And if it was criminal and caught by the money laundering law in your home country, you would report it. Okay? Many of you, as you start your reading and your studies, will come across the case of the Spanish bullfighter, which is the one that's always dragged out to illustrate how this works. And essentially that the Spanish bullfighter, true story, involving a English chap who was fighting bulls in Madrid, but he kept his house in Manchester in the UK, and he was paying his mortgage with the proceeds of his bullfighting. And under the single criminality regime, what that meant was, when that property came back into the UK, the banks had to report it under the Proceeds of Crime Act, because had that property been generated in the UK, it would have been illegal. In other words, bullfighting would have been illegal in the UK. The law, however, was changed with the 2005 SOCPA Act. So now in the UK, criminality is only reportable if it's dual. In other words, if it's a criminal offence in both the jurisdiction in which the property was originally created and the UK. It's only in those circumstances it's reportable. One important caveat on that, that defence of not having to report unless there's dual criminality does not apply to more serious crimes, that is crimes that would have carried 12 months or more jail time had they happened in the UK.
Okay, thanks very much, Pekka, that's great. And we'll catch up with you again on another video blog.
Okay,
Thank
take care.
you.
Cheers,
Bye.
everyone.